The sun was just setting on the quiet colony of New Haven, a small human settlement on the edge of the galaxy. The streets were almost empty, only a few traders packing their goods and children running home for dinner. Ethan stood near the repair shop, wiping grease from his hands. Another day was ending. He was tired, ready to close early and maybe drink something strong at the local bar. Life here was slow, and he liked it that way. No wars, no danger, just peace. But that peace ended in one moment. A deep humming sound filled the air. The ground shook under his boots. People turned their heads toward the sky, above the colony. A dark shape broke through the clouds, a ship, sleek and strange. Unlike anything the colony had seen before. The ship was silent now, but its presence was heavy, like a storm waiting to break. It descended slowly, dust swirling around as it landed right in the middle of the market square. Everyone froze. No one moved closer. The ship's ramp opened with a sharp hiss. A figure stepped out. It was a woman. Tall, graceful, her skin pale with a faint silver glow. Her hair was black as night, and her eyes bright, almost glowing, searched the crowd. She wore light armor with strange markings. Across her back was a blade longer than Ethan's arm. She didn't look at the crowd. She didn't seem to. Notice the frightened whispers. She walked forward with purpose, her boots clicking on the stone ground. People stepped out of her way without a word. She was coming straight toward Ethan. His chest tightened. He didn't know her, or at least, he thought he didn't. But there was something in her gaze. Something that made his heart beat faster. She stopped in front of him. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then she spoke. Her voice was, but there was a strange weight in it. "You promised me," she said, "and I've come for you." The words hit him like a blow. He blinked, confused. Promised. He didn't remember making any promise to her. And then he did remember. 15 years ago, a burning battlefield on a distant world. A little alien girl hiding in the rubble, injured and terrified. He had been a soldier then, younger, braver, and maybe a little foolish. He had carried her to safety, treated her wounds as best he could. She had barely spoken his language, but she had clung to his arm to make her smile. He had said, "When you grow up, I'll marry you, okay?" It was just a joke, just a way to comfort a scared child. And then, moments later, alien soldiers came and took her away. He never saw her again until now. Ethan's mouth went dry. The girl from the rubble was standing here, grown and armed, looking at him like he was the only person in the universe. Before he could speak, she reached into a pouch and pulled out a small, glowing object. It was round, with strange carvings that pulsed faintly with blue light. People in the crowd gasped. Ethan didn't know why, but he felt a strange pull toward it, like it was alive. "Do you know what this is?" she asked. He shook his head. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "It's why I came back. And it's why they're coming." "Who's coming?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned her head sharply, as if listening to something far away. Then she looked back at him, urgency in her voice. "We need to move. Now." Ethan hesitated. This was insane. 15 years without seeing her, and now she shows up with some strange glowing thing. Talking about danger. But before he could decide, a sharp sound cut through the air, a high-pitched whine. A shadow passed over them, from the sky, too dark. Ships swooped down, black and angular, like knives cutting through the clouds. They moved fast, too fast. People screamed and ran in all directions. The woman Lyra, he remembered now, grabbed his arm and pulled him toward an alley. "They've found me," she said, which means they've found you too. They ran, boots pounding against the stone, the sound of the ships roaring behind them. Ethan's mind raced. Why me? What is going on? They turned a corner, but a blast of energy hit the wall beside them, showering them with dust and heat. Lyra drew her blade in one smooth motion, the silver metal flashing in the dim light. "Stay behind me," she ordered. 3 armored figures appeared at the end of the alley, their faces hidden behind black helmets. They moved like hunters, their weapons raised. Ethan had no weapon, no plan, only questions. Lyra didn't hesitate. She moved with speed and precision, blocking a shot with her blade, spinning low to strike. Sparks flew. One attacker fell. Then another. The last one stepped forward. But instead of firing, he threw a small device on the ground. It exploded in a burst of light. Ethan's vision blurred. His ears rang. When his sight cleared, the attacker was gone. So was the glowing object. Lyra cursed in a language Ethan didn't understand. She turned to him, breathing hard. "They have the key now," she said. "If we don't get it back, my people will die." Ethan stared at her, his heart still racing. He wanted to say he didn't care, that this wasn't his fight. But deep down, he knew it was already too late for that. She looked at him with those glowing eyes, the same eyes he had seen all those years ago in the rubble. "You made a promise, Ethan," she said softly, "and I'm here to make sure you keep it." The streets of New Haven were chaos. Smoke still curled from the blast marks on the walls, and the sound of the alien ships was fading into the sky. People were shouting, doors slamming shut, children crying, but Ethan barely heard any of it. His mind was still on the glowing object and on Lyra. She was moving quickly, pulling him toward the edge of the colony. "We can't stay here," she said. Her voice was calm, but her grip was iron. "Wait, hold on." Ethan pulled free. "You can't just drag me away. And what even was that thing? Who are those people?" She turned and looked at him. For the first time since she had arrived, her expression softened. "They are hunters. They will kill anyone between me and their prize. And now?" She glanced toward the burning alley. "You are between them and me." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, frustration boiling inside him. "I was happy fixing old ships. You show up after 15 years, drop some you promised me nonsense, and now people are shooting at me." Lyra's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. "You still talk too much." That pulled him back 15 years ago. She had said the same thing when he tried to make her laugh in the ruins of her home. The memory hit like a wave. Flashback 15 years ago. The air had been thick with smoke, the sky red from fire. Ethan was a young soldier then, carrying a pulse rifle too heavy for his tired arms. He had been searching through the rubble for survivors when he heard the sound soft, shaky breathing. Pushing aside a broken wall, he found her. Small, thin, with ash in her hair and a deep cut across her leg. Her eyes were too bright for a child to knowing. She didn't flinch when he approached. "I'm here to help," he had said slowly, hoping she understood. She had tilted her head, studying him like some strange animal to distract her from the pain as he patched the wound. He had joked, "When you grow up, I'll marry you, okay?" It was ridiculous. He was human. She wasn't. But her lips had curved upward, her first smile, and she had whispered something in her language. He didn't know the words then. A moment later, alien soldiers, her people, had arrived. One pulled her away, thanking him in broken English. The last thing he saw before they vanished into the smoke was her looking back at him. Still smiling. Back to present that day. Lyra said now, "You gave me a promise. In your world, it may have been a joke. In mine, it is a vow." Ethan frowned. "A vow? What does that even mean?" "In my culture," she explained, "a vow binds souls. If one breaks it, their spirit is cursed, and their name is erased from the book of stars." She touched the silver markings on her armor. I have trained my whole life for the day we would meet again. Ethan let out a breath. This is insane. Insane or not, she said. My people believe you are. The Guardian. The one who will carry the key to the gate of dawn. The glowing thing, he asked. Yes, the key was hidden for centuries. But it will only awaken for one who carries the promised bond. That is why it reacted to you. And now it's gone, Ethan muttered. Her jaw tightened. Yes, and without it, my people will fall. The hunters will open the gate for themselves, and the stars will burn. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. You're saying I'm some kind of chosen one? Because of a bad joke I made to a kid? Her gaze was steady. I am saying you are the only one who can help me. And the only one who should. They reached the edge of the colony, where a small docking bay held battered ships. Lyra stopped in front of a compact vessel with smooth curves and faint blue lines running along its hull. This is mine, she said. If we leave now, we may catch the hunters before they enter the rift. Ethan crossed his arms. And if I say no? Her expression darkened, but there was no threat in her voice, only something colder. Then they will kill you here, slowly, because they will. Believe you know more than you do. And the people of this colony, they will be caught in their fire. That made his stomach twist. He had seen what war could do. It'd run far to escape it. But he also knew that if he turned away now, the blood would be on his hands. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes locking onto his. You can choose to walk back to your shop and pretend nothing happened, or you can honor your word. He looked away. You're not giving me much of a choice. She tilted her head slightly. No, I am not. Before Ethan could answer, a distant boom echoed across the colony. Both of them turned toward the sound. One of the hunter ships had returned, dropping low over the rooftops. Lyra's voice was urgent now. Decide, Ethan. He hesitated only a moment longer, then sighed. Fine, but you better explain everything on the way. Her eyes softened. I will. When you understand. You will not regret this. The ship's ramp lowered with a hiss, and Ethan followed her aboard. The doors closed behind them, sealing out the smoke and chaos outside, as the engines roared to life. Ethan looked at Lyra and thought, this is the moment my life ends or begins again. She glanced at him, and for a heartbeat, the warrior's mask fell away, revealing the same girl from the ruins long ago. You talk too much, she said again, and the ship rose into the darkening sky. The Vanguard's claw cut through the black sea of space, its hull lined with jagged metal spines. Inside, the air was dim and cold, humming with the steady thrum of engines. In the command chamber, the hunter captain stood before a curved window. His armor black as obsidian, his face hidden beneath a mask of polished bone. His eyes too thin. Vertical slits glowing faint, red watched the stars shift as the ship followed its prey. The key was activated. Came the voice of his second in command. The sound was distorted, metallic, like it came from deep underwater. And it recognized him. The captain's jaw tightened behind the mask. The human. Yes, the one called Ethan Cade. A long silence. Then the captain spoke. Find them. Burn everything in their path. The girl is dangerous, but the human is worse. The prophecy says the Guardian will destroy the gate if he reaches it. The second in command bowed his head. And if the Guardian refuses her? Then the captain said, turning toward the shadows, we will carve the key from his corpse. Back on Lyra's ship, the hum of the engines was steady, but Ethan's stomach was anything but calm. He sat in the co-pilot's seat, watching Lyra work the controls with smooth, practiced hands. So, he said slowly, these hunters, who are they really? Lyra's expression didn't change. They are the Ralton. Once, They were protectors. Now, they serve only power. They believe the Gate of Dawn will make them rulers of 1,000 systems. And the gate? What is it exactly? Her fingers paused on the controls, and she looked at him. It is not a door. It is a weapon. An ancient machine built before. Your species knew fire. It can burn stars or create them. My people guarded it for centuries. The key was hidden, so no one could use it. Ethan let out a low whistle, and now it's in their hands. Not yet, Lyra said sharply. They stole it, but it will not open the gate unless you are there. The key is bonded to you. Your blood, your voice, it responds to both. Without you, it is just a shell. Ethan leaned back. So I'm basically a walking password. She didn't smile. You are the guardian. Whether you like it or not. A signal in the dark, a sudden alarm beeped on the console. Lyra's eyes narrowed. They're tracking us. How? Ethan asked. The hunters know your scent now, she said, voice tense. Your life pattern is in their archives. They can follow you across light years. Ethan tried to make a joke, but the words died in his throat when he saw the scanner display. Single red dot was moving fast toward them. They're close, Lyra muttered. Too close. She flipped a series of switches, and the ship dove sharply toward a gas cloud in the distance. Ethan gripped the armrest. Is that safe? No, she said, but it is safer than them catching us. Inside the hunter's ship, the captain watched the gas cloud loom ahead on his tactical screen. She will try to lose us in the storm, he said. The second-in-command frowned. We cannot see through it. The static will blind them as well, the captain finished. But she forgets, we're patient. He pressed a clawed hand onto the command stone, and the ship's shadowy drones detached from the hull, vanishing into the mist like predators into deep water. Into the cloud, the ship shuddered as they entered. The view screen filled with swirling green and gold mist, lightning crackling silently through the gas. Ethan swallowed hard. Feels like flying through the belly of some giant beast. Lyra kept her focus on the controls. The storm will mask US for a short time, but it is alive, in a way. Ships have gone in and never come out. Great, Ethan muttered. It's comforting. Suddenly, something flashed past the window, small, fast, almost invisible. What was that? He asked. Lyra's jaw tightened. Drones. They must have released them before we entered. The ship's lights flickered. A thud echoed through the hull. They've latched on, she said. They're trying to breach. A choice in the dark. Ethan's hands curled into fists. If they're after me, maybe I should just go to them. End this now. Lyra turned sharply, her voice colder than space itself. Do not say that again. He met her gaze, surprised by the heat in her tone. You think this is about you alone? She continued. If they take you, they take the gate. And if they take the gate, they will unmake entire worlds. Yours included. Her words sank into him like a weight. Another thud closer this time. A faint hissing sound began somewhere. Behind the walls, they're cutting through, Lyra said. She reached for her blade. Get to the weapons console. If one of them boards, shoot first. Ethan hesitated. And if I miss? Then, she said, eyes back on the controls. We both die. The lights flickered again. Somewhere in the dark mist outside, a shape moved a drone, its many red eyes glowing faintly. Crawling along the ship's hull, and in the distance, hidden in the storm, the hunter captain watched and waited. The sound came first, sharp, metallic clank, followed by a slow, scraping noise along the hull. Ethan's stomach turned. He imagined cold metal claws dragging themselves toward him. Lyra didn't take her eyes off the control panel. They're on us. Hold your breath when the door opens. They'll release a toxin to stun you. Ethan tried to laugh it off, but his throat felt tight. Good to know. Anything else I should know before we die? She spared him a glance. Yes, do not miss. The corridor lights dimmed. The ship shuddered. Then, with a hiss, a circular section of the wall glowed red and began to melt inward. A thin blade punched through, twisting, widening the whole dot. Ethan stood by the weapons console, his finger hovering over the trigger of a pulse rifle. The weapon felt heavy, too heavy for his shaky hands. A dark, insect-like drone forced itself through the gap. Its limbs unfolded with unnatural grace, each ending in a curved blade. Its head swiveled toward Ethan, red eyes burning like coals. It moved fast, too fast. Ethan fired. The shot grazed one of its limbs, making it stagger but not fall. The drone hissed, a sound like metal grinding on bone, and lunged. Close combat Lyra was already moving. She vaulted over the console, her blade flashing. One stroke took off the drone's arm. The second strike went for its head. Sparks sprayed. Across the corridor, Ethan ducked under another swing, firing again. This time, the shot punched through the drone's torso. It collapsed, twitching, before going still. His chest heaved. That, he swallowed. That was my first. He didn't finish the sentence. Lyra didn't look at him. You survived. That is all that matters. Before he could answer, another clank echoed through the hall. Then another. They're sending more, Lyra said. She grabbed his arm. Bridge, now. The pursuit, they sprinted down the corridor. The ship groaned around them as more drones latched on. The scanner display flashed red 5 contacts closing in. Ethan glanced at the controls. Can't we outrun them? Lyra shook her head. Not in the cloud. They'd cut us apart before we reached open space. A fresh alarm wailed. One of the outer doors had been forced. They're inside, she said grimly. 2 corridors away. Ethan's breath came fast. Then where do we go? Her gaze flicked toward the lower deck, cargo bay. There's something there that might help us. The cargo bay, the doors slid open to reveal a dim, cavernous space. Crates floated in the low gravity, each marked with alien runes. In the center was a large black container, smooth and seamless. What is it? Ethan asked. Lyra keyed in a code. The container split open, revealing a strange Wapena long staff with glowing lines running along its length. It's called a star lance, she said, pulling it free. It was built to pierce hunter armor. Ethan eyed the weapon. You could have mentioned we had one of those earlier. I hoped we wouldn't need it, she replied, turning toward the sound of approaching footsteps. The fight the first. Drone rounded the corner. Lyra hurled the lance like a spear. The weapon pierced straight through the drone's chest, pinning it to the wall. Blue sparks danced along the shaft before it exploded in a burst of light. 2 more drones came from the opposite side. Ethan grabbed the pulse rifle and fired in controlled bursts. One fell, its limbs twitching. The other charged straight at him. He froze. The drone's blade arced toward his head, then stopped with a wet, metallic crunch. Lyra had stepped in front of him, driving her blade upward into its core. Her breathing was heavy now. She turned to him. You hesitate too much. Ethan's hands shook. I'm not like you. She leaned closer, her eyes fierce. I'm not. Yet, the twist before they could catch their breath, the ship lurched violently. A voice crackled over the system, a cold, distorted tone that made Ethan's skin crawl. Guardian, the voice said. You cannot run forever. You are marked. When we take you, we will keep you alive. Long enough to watch every world. You love burn. Ethan looked at Lyra. They know my name. She gripped his shoulder. They know everything about you now, which means the hunt has only begun. Somewhere deep in the hull, another breach alarm began to wail. The ship was quiet now. It's too quiet. The last of the hunter drones had been destroyed, their broken shells drifting in the void. But the silence was not peace, was the heavy, waiting kind. The kind before something worse. Ethan sat in the co-pilot's seat, his pulse rifle leaning against the wall. His hands still trembled from the fight. Across from him, Lyra was bent over the control panel, her fingers moving quickly. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Tracking the key," she said without looking up. "They cannot keep it hidden from me forever." The key returns an hour later. The console beeped softly. A faint blue signal pulsed on the screen. "That's it," Lyra said. "They hid it on one of their forward scouts. We can intercept them before they reach the rift." Ethan frowned. "And then what? Just grab it and run." "No," she said. "This time we activate it. We need to see the map before they do." The intercept their approach was quick and silent. The scout ship was small, its hull scarred from years of battle. Lyra docked with it, like she had done it 1,000 times. Inside, the corridor smelled of oil and metal. The lights flickered. No guards, only the hum of machinery. They found the key in the cargo hold, resting in a sealed case. Lyra broke it open with a single strike. The object pulsed faintly in her hands. Ethan stared at it. "It's smaller than I remember." "It doesn't need to be big," she said. "Only powerful." The star map back on their ship, Lyra placed the key in the center of the control room. The moment she let go, it floated in the air, spinning slowly. Lines of blue light began to spread from it, forming shapes, constellations, and glowing paths. Ethan leaned forward. "That's beautiful." "It's the star map," she said. "It shows the way to the Gate of Dawn." But as the map expanded, Ethan noticed something strange. Some of the stars were dimmed, others crossed out with red lines. "What's that?" he asked. Lyra's voice was quieter now. "Worlds that no longer exist." Ethan swallowed, destroyed by the gate. She didn't answer. The hidden layer of the map kept shifting. The glowing lines twisted, folding in on themselves, until another pattern emerged beneath the first one Lyra hadn't expected. Her eyes widened. "This isn't possible." Ethan pointed. "What is it?" "It's another route. A second path. Not to the gate, but to its heart." "The heart?" She hesitated. "The place where it was made. The records say it doesn't exist anymore." Ethan watched the map, then frowned. "Wait, look at this." The second path ended not in empty space, but near the edge of human territory. His voice was cold now. "That's Earth's sector." The first doubt before Lyra could respond, the ship's lights flickered again. But this time, there were no drones, no alarms. The keys, light dimmed. A voice filled the room, not the hunter's voice, but something older, deeper. "Guardian," it said. "The hunters are not your enemy. The one beside you is." Ethan froze. The voice was inside his head, not coming from the speakers. Lyra looked at him sharply. "What is it?" He stared at her. "You didn't hear that?" "Hear what?" she asked. "The key just spoke to me," he said. "It said." "You're not telling me the truth." The tension Lyra's hand moved to the hilt of her blade. "Not a threat, but close. The key is ancient. It will say anything to divide us." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Is that true, or are you hiding something?" Her eyes didn't leave his. "If you doubt me now, you doom us both." The map flickered again, and for a split second, Ethan saw something, an image of Lyra, standing over a burning city, her blade dripping red. He blinked, and it was gone. The choice of the voice returned, softer this time. "Guardian, follow the..." Second path, and you will see the truth. Lyra stepped closer. We followed the gate path. No detours. Ethan's hands curled into fists. He didn't know who to trust, Lyra, who had saved his life, or the key, which seemed to know too much. But one thing was certain. Whoever was lying about something big, and in the dark between the stars. The hunters were still coming. Ethan didn't sleep that night. The image of the second path glowed in his mind, along with the key's words. Follow it, and you will see the truth. Lyra was asleep in the crew quarters, her breathing steady. Ethan sat alone in the cockpit, staring at the navigation screen. One tap on the console, and they could leave the gate's route entirely. He hesitated. If the key was lying, he would be leading them into danger. If Lyra was lying, then danger was already here. His fingers moved. Quietly, carefully, he entered the coordinates from the second path. The ship's course shifted almost imperceptibly. Approach hours later, Lyra joined him on the bridge. How long until we reach the next marker? She asked. Ethan forced a casual tone. Not long. She studied the display, frowning slightly. The readings are strange. This shouldn't be open space. It should be empty. Guess the map's old, Ethan said, trying not to meet her eyes. The empty space wasn't empty at all. A vast structure loomed ahead, bigger than any station Ethan had ever seen. It hung in the void like a broken crown, its spires twisted, its metal scarred by ancient fire. Faint lights flickered deep inside, as if something still lived there. Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. This can't be here. The dead city. They docked at one of the fractured landing bays. The air inside was thin, stale, but still breathable. The halls were enormous, lined with towering statues, humanoid figures with elongated skulls and hands clasped over their chests. Dust floated like slow snow in the weak gravity. Ethan touched one of the walls. Symbols flared to life under his hand, bright, intricate shapes that shifted as he moved. Lyra grabbed his wrist. Don't touch anything. Why? Afraid they'll tell me something you won't, he asked quietly. Her eyes darkened, but she didn't answer. The first truth, the key, pulsed in his pocket. Ethan stepped away from Lyra, pretending to examine the walls. The voice came again, clearer than ever. This was the city of the Makers. They built the gate not for war, but for creation. Images bloomed in Ethan's mind. The Makers walking these halls, raising suns in empty space, weaving planets from dust. Then came another image of Lyra's people, storming the city, blades and fire in hand. The Makers falling one by one. Ethan's breath caught. Your people destroyed them. Lyra froze. What did you say? The confrontation. The Makers, Ethan said, turning to face her. The ones who built the gate. They weren't your enemies, were they? Her jaw tightened. You don't know what you're talking about. They created life. They made worlds. And your people killed them. Lyra stepped closer, her voice low. If the Makers had lived, they would have burned your worlds first. The gate was never safe. It was always a weapon. Ethan shook his head. Not what I saw. Then you saw what the key wanted you to see, she snapped. It is old. It lies. The heart of the city. Before Ethan could argue, the ground shook. From the shadows, something moved, a tall, thin figure, its body made of shifting metal and pale light. Its eyes glowed the same blue as the key. It spoke in a voice like wind over glass. Guardian, you have returned. Ethan's pulse raced. You're one of the Makers. The figure inclined its head, one of the last. We hid here, waiting for the day the key found a hand worthy to hold it. Lyra's blade was already in her hand. Stay away from him. The Maker's gaze turned to her. And you, child. Of the destroyers, you should not be here. The split Ethan stood between them. Enough. Somebody tell me the truth. What is the gate really for? The Maker's voice was calm. The gate is a seed. Through it, we can plant life in any starless void. But in the wrong hands, it can erase life just as easily. Lyra's eyes stayed locked on the Maker, and in their hands, it always becomes a weapon. Ethan looked from one to the other, the weight of the choice pressing on him. The Maker's voice whispered in his mind, "Follow me, and I will show you the power to save your people." Lyra's voice cut through, sharp and urgent. "Leave with me now, before this thing poisons you." The decision hanging for the first time since this began, Ethan realized the key hadn't chosen both of them, it had chosen him. And both the Maker and Lyra were willing to kill for that choice. In the silent, broken halls of the dead city, Ethan knew one thing for certain: whatever decision he made next would decide not just the fate of the gate, but the fate of every world in the map's light. The ancient city shook as if it were alive. Dust rained down from the high ceilings, the statues of the Makers casting long shadows in the flickering blue light. Ethan stood at the center of the hall, the key floating between his hands, pulsing with a slow, steady rhythm like a heartbeat. On his left stood Lyra, her blade drawn, eyes burning with determination. On his right stood the last Maker, tall and still, light rippling across its strange, metallic body. The demands Lyra spoke first. "Ethan, listen to me. Give me the key. I will close the gate forever. The hunters will lose their power, and your world will be safe." The Maker's voice rolled through the chamber. "Guardian, she lies. Her people will claim the gate for themselves and rule the stars. Give it to me, and I will open it. We will bring new life to 1,000 dead worlds." Ethan's grip on the key tightened. His mind was a storm. The vision, the key's light flared, and suddenly the hall vanished. He stood in open space, stars wheeling around him, each one a spark of possibility. But the stars began to fade. First, a few. Then dozens, then hundreds. In their place came fire and darkness. Whole systems burned, planets split apart, and the screams of countless voices echoed in the void. The key's voice spoke. "This is the gate in the wrong hands, and these are all the hands." Back to reality, the vision broke, and Ethan staggered. He looked at Lyra. "You've killed for this." Her voice was steady. "I've killed to stop worse." He looked at the Maker. "And you had the power to stop war, but you hid." The Maker's glowing eyes dimmed. "We waited for the right one. You are that one." Ethan realized the truth. Neither of them could be trusted. Both wanted the gate, but neither wanted only to protect life. The third option, he looked down at the key, feeling its hum through his fingers. "What happens if I destroy it?" he asked quietly. Lyra's eyes widened. "You can't. It's the only way to." The Maker's voice turned sharp. "Guardian, if you do that, you kill the gate forever. All our work, all our future, gone." Ethan's. The voice was calm now. Maybe the galaxy's future shouldn't depend on one weapon or one person. The final battle. Lyra lunged first. "Don't be a fool," she shouted, swinging her blade toward his arm. The Maker moved too, light flaring around it as it reached for the key. Ethan dropped to one knee, rolling between them. A pulse shot from the key, knocking both Lyra and the Maker backward. The chamber shook harder. The city was beginning to collapse. Lyra scrambled to her feet. "Ethan, give it to me." The Maker's voice echoed in his mind. "Guardian, remember your promise. Save them." Ethan stood, the key glowing brighter and brighter in his hands. "I made a promise, but not to serve either of you." The destruction, he raised the key high. The light turned white, blinding, and the hum became a roar. Lyra screamed his name. The Maker shouted something in a language older than the stars. Ethan slammed the key into the floor. The explosion of light swept through the hall, racing out through the city, into space itself. Ethan saw the star map one last time, then every path shattered into pieces, fading into nothing. The silence after when the light faded, Ethan was lying on the cold floor. The key was gone, only a faint scorch mark remained where it had been. Lyra sat against a broken column, breathing hard, her blade forgotten at her side. She looked at him, eyes full of something he couldn't name. The Maker was gone. Only a trail of dim light led into the shadows, fading with every second. Ethan stood slowly. The city was still crumbling, but without the key, its heart was dying. The departure, they made it back to the ship in silence. As the city fell away behind them, Lyra finally spoke. "You ended it," she said. Her voice was unreadable. "I ended the fight," Ethan replied. "The galaxy. We'll have to figure out the rest without a gate to fight over." She studied him for a long moment. "You broke your promise." He shook his head. "No, I kept. It's just not the way you wanted." The last scene, the ship drifted into open space, the stars vast and quiet around them. Ethan didn't know where they were going next, but for the first time since she had stepped off that strange ship in New Haven, he felt free. And somewhere in the darkness, beyond the reach of any map, something else had seen what he'd done, and it had begun to move.